in Zimbabwe. And you're from Zimbabwe? And there I was met at the airport by a man who drove a car which looked more like a crab. It went sideways. And it had some wobbles to it. And this man, he was a black man. And I stayed at his house, and they were very, very, very poor. They had no furniture. They slept on the floor. But they managed to borrow a little mattress for me and put it down. And this man became a very good friend of mine. And the next day, we had the meetings at 10 o'clock. And we left early enough, about 9:30, and it's about a 30-minute drive to the meetings. But on the way, he saw a little old lady with some bags in her hand. So he stopped his crab, jumped out, ran to the little old lady, and talked to her for about half an hour. Then he took her bags and disappeared into a building and came back another half an hour later. By that time, the meetings had commenced for a half an hour already. I was sweating. I have this German blood, very time-orientated. You know how it works? We traveled along. He saw a man. He stopped the crab. He jumped out. He spoke to the man for about 20 minutes. Got back into the car, and this continued until we finally got to the church meeting, which started at 10 o'clock at about 12:30. There was no one there. I said to them, they were all disappointed. They came and they left. He says, no, they're not here yet. Then we had the meeting. And as the meeting commenced, the people poured in and they poured in and they poured in. And finally, it was packed and the people were sitting in the windowsills and peering in from outside. It was packed. And on the way home, because the meetings went from whenever we started at about 12:30 to 9 o'clock that night. And then he explained something to me. He was raised by missionaries. He had been a discarded baby and left somewhere, and he was raised by white missionaries, so he understood my mindset. But he was different from me. And then he said, in Africa, we are not time-orientated. We are event-orientated. The meetings start when everybody's there. Because they don't have transport. They have to come from over that hill and what have you. And then Africa has a custom. If you meet someone like a little old lady with bags, you don't rush up, grab the bags and say, what can I do for you? And put them down wherever, and then you go away. That's rude. You first ask her how she is, how her deceased husband is, her children, her grandchildren, and you go right through the register, and then you work your way back up. Then you ask her, can you help her with her bags? You take them up, and when you say goodbye, you don't say, bye, I'm in a hurry. You do the reverse. And that may take an hour or two. But it's the decent thing to do. And if you see someone you haven't seen for a long time, you don't say, hi, I haven't got time for you now. You make time for that person. It's a totally different mindset. You have to get used to it. Then you come to Germany and you get a minute plan. And it's such fun to come from Africa and to destroy their minute plan. Anyway, I only have 5 minutes, so I really should get off the stage now. You see, it depends on the mindset. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elias truly shall first come and shall restore all things. Now, I'm not going to go through any of this with you right now. I'm rushing along. If this thing will behave. I'm going to skip all this. Did you get it? I was called to do a campaign in Ethiopia. And I thought I'd show it to you. Because it's pretty different from where you live. This is what it looks like. This is Ethiopia. I got off the plane. I was taken by these nice people. This was my hotel. And they were so poor. This was the view from my hotel. And that was the hotel opposite. They were busy fixing it, and you can see the scaffolding. Things are done differently there. That's what it looked like. And this is how people live. And these were their homes. And I tell you this story because this is a temperance, health, prophecy seminar, isn't it? Now, the people that invited me, when I received the invitation, it was Seventh-day Adventist group that invited me, and I went. But none of these people were in the church, and it bothered me because I'm a Seventh-day Adventist minister. And I found out in the course of this that these people were very interested in health and temperance, and they'd read the spirit of prophecy. And believe it or not, they were clued up about everything that happens on the internet and that happens in our midst. They knew it all. They weren't backward, but they lived in an environment like this. And they came on donkeys, and their transport was phenomenal. They have a great transport system in this country. I could go faster if this thing went faster. This here was the home of one of the Seventh-day Adventist persons. Now, I want you to look at the home. I'm not going to take a picture inside. And you would think, coming from where we are in the first world country, that these people were pretty poor. This was a medical doctor. This is a medical doctor that lived here. And those are the little children. And they're ready to go to Sabbath school. And if you want something sweet to eat, well, that's what you get. You get a piece of sugar cane. Because there's no store where you can go and buy something. And this was the church. This is their church. Now, I asked these people, why are you not in church? They said, it's not comfortable there. And I said, why not? And they said, well, we have decided we don't want to eat what is wrong. We don't want to drink what is wrong. We don't want to drink coffee like everybody else does in our country because it's not right. And so we are not welcome anymore. I said, well, how many are you? 3,500 pitched up at this meeting and 3,500 at another meeting. And I asked myself the question, should we be so divided on issues as straightforward as health and temperance? Or do we all have the same message and some just don't want to live by it? Is that possible? Now, of course, there's a difference between fanaticism, and some people can really shove health reform down your throat until they make you quite nauseous. We do have that. But do these people, they're gone. Do these people look like they belong to that class? Look at them. These are poor people. But I've never met nicer people in all my life. When you come into their home, it is so basic. And yet they will come and kneel at your chair and wash your hands and wash your feet with their little bowls. And they would have beautiful food, eaten in their way. You eat it with a hand, just like you do in India. I worked at an Indian university. There I also learned to eat with my hand. And all of these things. And people think, but isn't that unhygienic? No. Don't you wash your forks when you eat? These people wash their hands when they eat. So it's nothing to do with unhygienic. You see, this is what it looks like in that country. This is the transport system. You cannot say the meeting starts at, because it won't work. Your transport might be asleep. And there might be some other patrons on the back which have to first be removed. It's a different world. And here they were baking bread for us for the Sabbath. They had to get it finished before Sabbath. That lady in the background there, I've never met a nicer person, except my wife perhaps, than that one. She was so sweet. And they worked furiously to get it finished. And they were always happy. This was in the week when there weren't many people. Old people. Those people are almost 100 years old. I wish you could hear the sound on that. They're singing, and it's like an Eastern type music. It's not something that the Western ear is used to. And this man made his own instrument, and he gave the special item. But look at the environment. These are actually soundtracks. I wish you could hear it. Maybe we can play it at a later stage. And nobody is rich. And if you want to prepare your food, you do it yourself. And the only flat surface is the road. And so you do your threshing in the road. They're beating out sorghum. In America, you don't know what you have. You just go to the store and buy it. And here is some more of the transport system. And, you know, you read these things and you get these biblical images of beasts of burden. And not just one or two, they're all like that. And you wonder by yourself, this is a different world. And if you're driving in a car, it's a dangerous place to drive. And pick up your bed and walk becomes a total different reality. Do you know that people live like this? Throughout an entire country, there are little pockets where it's not like this. But the bulk of the country, I traveled from east to the west and north to the south, looks like this. And these are the best toys they have. And they love it. And these are the general houses. 3,500 came to this meeting. I'm done. 3,500 to another meeting. Seventh-day Adventists who want to do right in a country that makes it as hard as possible to get what you need and to do what you have to do, because a goat is always there. But to get the sorghum, you have to beat it out. And I want to tell you, brothers and sisters, if they can do it, we can do it. And I counted them, 7,000 of them that came to the meetings. And I thought by myself, we're in trouble. 7,000 that have not bowed the knee to Baal, and they're all living in Ethiopia. What about you? You better shape up, because the 7,000 are full. So may the Lord help us to see things in a different perspective in this world, and to say to Him, Lord, what is your will? Help me to do it. Amen.